you guys enjoy your whatever that is.
All right. Test. Test.
Test.
Test. Test.
And we're back for segment 3 of episode 229 of Convincing Idiots. Brian, Gen X, and Zennial Dean here for your main event.
Mm-hmm.
And for the main event, Brian, why don't you tell the listeners at home what we have in store for them?
Well, again, we're talking about Saturday Night Live 50th anniversary. And we've talked about favorite SNL characters and different topics in the past. But this week, we're going to talk about our personal idiot Mount Rushmore favorite skits of all time. The list is, numerous. I mean, we could probably be here all evening talking about skits we enjoy.
I'm sure we'll forget some too.
Of course. But just our top 5. Why 5? Because we're idiots on a Mount Rushmore. We don't have 4, we have 5. So we're going to give you our top 5 in no particular order necessarily, and then probably some honorable mentions, and why we enjoy that particular skit. Probably have a couple overlaps, maybe not, since the list is so big.
Vast.
But yes. So why don't we start with you then, Dean? So give me one of your favorite SNL skits of all time. It could be a video short they did. It could be a parody, a commercial. I don't care. It's all a skit. So whatever you want to call a skit.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Celebrity Jeopardy, with Alex Trebek being portrayed by Will Ferrell, and then you have the various celebrities. There's been some staples of them throughout the years, where you have Sean Connery or
Daryl Hammond doing
right.
Yeah, Sean Connery was great.
Your mother, Trebek. What's his who is it? What's his name? God damn it. Yeah, Norm Macdonald. There, Jesus
Norm
Christ.
Macdonald would do like the 1970s version of Burt Reynolds.
Yes.
Chewing the gum with that is brilliant.
Yeah, just to me that those on any compilation you're going to have, that's going to be one of your top skits from Saturday Night Live. I love the over the top exaggeration of the celebrities, and Will Ferrell not even trying to like do Alex Trebek. It was just kind of being Alex Trebek, being just a generic talk show host. It didn't matter. All of it was fucking hilarious. I love that skit. So that's why it'll be on number 1 on my list.
Yeah, enjoyed a lot of those, and the celebrities were all so purposely stupid. They had just ridiculous, negative scores that could never happen mathematically, but it was just funny, and the questions were so easy. People kept missing it. There's so many good things, so that it really evolved, like you said, to the banter with the Sean Connery and Alex Trebek. Sean Connery, so good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What about you? Who's the first on your list?
I'm going to give you another Will Ferrell, one of my favorites here. The skit name in particular, I did a few of these, but the skit name was Space, the Infinite Frontier, featuring Dr. Kent Waller. Dr. Kent Waller was portrayed by Jeff Goldblum on this particular episode from the 90s. And the premise was hosted by Harry Carey. So Will Ferrell doing his Harry Carey impression, which was ridiculous to have Harry Carey hosting a science show.
That's where you get if the moon was made out of cheese, would you eat it? I know I would.
Yeah. You all know the moon was made out of green. It's not made out of green cheese, but it was made out of spare ribs would you eat it then? And Jeff Goldblum, because I guess what happened, Will Ferrell started to improv and it threw Jeff Goldblum off,
Sure.
really. And he was just kind of like, I'm so confused. He's like, it's a simple question, doctor. A baby could answer it. If the moon was made out of spare ribs, would you eat it? He's like, yes. Ah, good. I know I would. And I'd polish it off with a nice, cool Budweiser. And he was shaking his head and everything. Man,
So funny.
just totally unexpected. So good. And he actually did a very good impersonation of Harry Carey as well.
Yeah.
So I love that one so much. So he did it a couple of times, but that one with Jeff Goldblum, because Jeff Goldblum was noticeably confused on the live show and just trying to go with it. And it worked perfectly. So, all right, what else you got on your list, sir?
Okay, this actually next one might be my number one, like of all time. I fucking love the Bill Brasky
Oh my God.
skits. You had Will Ferrell. It was Will Ferrell, David Koechner, Tim Meadows, and Mark McKinney, and then you'd have occasional Alec Baldwin and John Goodman on it.
Uh-huh.
It's one of those skits where they are sitting around. They've been at the bar, they've been at a funeral. Bill Brasky is one of their friends, like a salesman, businessman, friend of theirs, and they're reminiscing or telling odd stories about Bill Brasky. I pulled up some of these, like we started with Bill Brasky is a son of a bitch, and like always has that weird voice on him. Bill Brasky fathered every guy and every child in town. And one of the best parts of it was when they're going there, like Bill Brasky once showed me a video of him making love to my wife, and it was the most beautiful thing I ever saw. I think that was Cockner that did that. His poop is used as currency in Argentina. And then occasionally one of them would randomly say like a really weird truth that they did that would make everybody uncomfortable, and like it would pause the thing and then they go back into it. Like Bill Brasky sweats Gatorade. He once breastfed a flamingo back to health. So
they're totally improving and riffing. It seemed like they're
absolutely. They would just go back and forth. Each one of them would go in a row. It's kind of like the old, the jokes everybody would have about Chuck Norris.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of like that. Bill Brasky is this mythical creature and larger than life. Because I once saw him scissor kick Angela Lansbury. Just weird random shit. He sheds his skin once a year. Yeah, I could go on. Bill Brasky's bits were, I think there was only like 6 or 7 of them, throughout time, and it was only like a few years that they did it. But I fucking love those skits. So Bill Brasky is definitely top of my list.
There you go. And they always show him at the end. It was some larger than life character. His head always be off camera. It was either a dummy or whatever they used for that. But yeah, ridiculous but funny, like you said.
Yeah, I'm sitting here reading some of these now. They're so fucking good. That's going to be a rabbit hole I'm going to go down sometime soon. Fucking love those skits.
Well, there's a series. One of my favorite is a skit series that they did. They had multiple ones there. Each one I thought they were all pretty funny. The one in particular was Stewart Has Cancer, but the whole series of the Californians. This was It was like a fictional soap opera of people who lived in California, and they were all just various over the top, stereotypical Californians with the accent. Everybody had blonde hair. Fred Armisen, was one of the main characters. Kristen Wiig, Bill Hader. Yeah. Just so good. And what made it even funnier was they would work in, I didn't realize they were actual directions. But,
absolutely.
Fred Armisen would look up. I guess there were real directions in California, but they would always say, you got to get on the 403 and get off of here and whatever. And it was always worked in. You got to get out of here and take this way and spit you out over there, and just to kind of speak to all the traffic and everything in California apparently. But just every one of those was pretty damn funny. They would have some guest hosts come on and play.
Exaggerated California accent.
Yeah. And the furniture they had, and just the whole vibe, it's just great.
Yeah.
So there was a commercial, I think, during the 50th as well, or that, they reenacted the Californians. He came back and did it again. But just watch those if you want to get a laugh. Or just pull up the Californians SNL on YouTube, and I think they're all out there. Or find them on SNL on streaming on Peacock. But just great.
Absolutely.
Gen X Brian here from the Convincing Idiots podcast. If you're enjoying our show, tell a friend. And if you're not, well, tell two enemies.
All right. My next one is actually more recent. And and I'm kind of cheating because the skit, I don't really remember exactly what the premise was. It was some sort of like town hall meeting, but they had Beavis and Butthead.
Yes. Right. This is recent. Yeah.
And what makes it so funny was none of the actors seemed to like know that they were going to be dressed up and looking like that, because when they turn around to see them, everybody broke. And I think that's actually one of the more fun things to watch on Saturday Night Live is the breaking of the actors when they can't hold it in. You could go down a rabbit hole on YouTube and watch it, the actors breaking on Saturday Night Live, and they were the live versions of Beavis and Butthead. It was who's the
I'll tell you in 1 second. It was Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling as
he was the host.
Beavis. Yeah.
And then it was Mikey Day was the
Mikey
other guy.
Day, that's right.
He's a cast member there.
Yeah, but... and watching them turn around to see Mikey Day for the first time, what's her name just couldn't hold it together. Just couldn't even get a line out. Yeah, it was just so funny. So that was probably one of my favorite things to watch in the modern era.
And I think when the Fall Guy debuted on the red carpet, I think they both showed up in the Beavis and Butthead costume.
That's awesome.
And just kind of reenacted that to have some fun with people. And then Ryan Gosling changed later and all that. But yeah, it's pretty good. And they were just so serious. Because these guys look like Beavis and Butthead. They're just kind of like, you never heard of Beavis and Butthead?
Right,
that was pretty good.
They had like the actual, I bet you could find like the Beavis and Butthead T-shirts with skulls on it, and Hard Rock, I think, was the other one.
It was, on the show, it was Metallica and AC/DC is what they were wearing on the show, on the actual MTV.
Okay.
But then when but for licensing, they probably couldn't do it. That's what they wore on the show, though. That's what they wore on the show. But anyway, good stuff. Hilarious. And like you said, those skits are even funnier. Like you said, when someone breaks and they just can't get it under control, that just takes it to a whole other level. And then people know when they're breaking their cast member, and they just push.
They keep on,
harder and harder. Yeah.
One of the Debbie Downer was a good one for that. Watching the other Rachel Dratch breaking up their cast members, or the one in the hot tub where Will Ferrell's the professor and his wife, and they have like an open marriage or whatever, and just Will Ferrell,
Rachel Dratch,
and nobody in the fucking hot tub. They did a couple different versions of that, where Will Ferrell just is eating that up. Like that's his goal, is to ruin that fucking skit. They're fucking awesome.
The one with Jimmy Fallon and Drew Barrymore when she hosted.
That was the
Jimmy Fallon could not keep it under control.
Jimmy Fallon was horrible at keeping it together during skits. I think there's one that one of us will talk about that. We'll talk more about that.
Yep.
Yeah. So
I'll just put that out there right now. One of my favorite
Go
skits
ahead.
of all time. The More Cowbell
yeah,
skit.
absolutely.
Will Ferrell at his best, and just what took that to a whole other level. Christopher Walken was just phenomenal. He was so good on that show. I guess he could just he could do anything. He could be comedic, but he was so good at being the serious guy in any
What
skit. Never cracked a smile. Just the whole yelling. When
one
he
of
came
the
out and said, "I got a fever," and the More Cowbell, that line is just gold. Go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted your thought.
no. It was on top of that was like I think what makes that probably the most iconic skit in Saturday Night Live history, honestly, is because it wasn't just one. You drew multiple memes from it,
Mm-hmm.
but like people will quote Christopher Walken, and Christopher Walken was playing the straight guy, and then you have Will Ferrell with the fucking cowbell dancing in front of in Horatio Sands' face, and he's trying to keep it together. And like we said, Jimmy Fallon couldn't keep anything together on any skit. So fuck, it was just everything about that skit was what Saturday Night Live is. You had the straight lines delivered. You had the people laughing. You had the people, meaning the actors. You had the physical comedy. Just everything about it. It honestly, I think if you did a poll, that is probably the greatest skit in Saturday Night Live history.
That's
given
way up there.
Everything about it.
Yeah, way up there. You're right. The whole premise, it just the premise makes so much sense too. It's just so funny because somebody just had to think of, why don't they talk about like songs that have these cowbells, these old classic rock songs with cowbells, and you can see how it kind of materialized. That somebody wants more cowbell.
That it was like one of those 3 o'clock in the mornings where they're all sitting around tired as shit, and somebody has that song on, and they're like, "Why is there so much goddamn cowbell in this song?" And then it just kind of steamrolls from there. Like, wouldn't it be funny if he wasn't even supposed to do the cowbell? And that's it's fucking great.
The producer wanted more cowbell. That's a good premise. And then Christopher Walken just took it to that level.
All right, so the original Christopher Walken wasn't supposed to be the original actor in that skit. I guess it was originally supposed to be Norm Macdonald.
Okay.
Now, again, I don't know how well, because Christopher Walken, I think, made it iconic given the way he delivers lines, right? More cowbell, you know what I mean? Like it's a Walken-esque line. Norm would have been hilarious, but it would have been a totally different skit with Norm Macdonald. Like his delivery would have made it a way different concept. So it worked out the way it was supposed to. I love Norm Macdonald, but Christopher Walken, they had it right on that.
Yeah, the angry delivery that he could do, just take it to a whole other level.
Right. Absolutely.
Yep. Very good. Excellent. Yeah, that's a skit there too. There's certainly a lot of these. You could say the same thing here, but you see people even now at Halloween dressed up as the Will Ferrell character with the cowbell, and you know exactly what it is.
Right, absolutely.
Very
iconic.
Yeah.
You get T-shirts with him on it.
Yeah, I have a button somewhere. The More Cowbell is a T-shirt out of as well. With him on it, stuff like that. Yeah. Very good.
My next one, Wayne's World.
Yeah. Good.
Wayne's World. Simply that. Was it the greatest sketch on Saturday Night Live? Maybe not, right? But it spawned, there's a lot of those sketches that spawn movies. That spawned a fucking classic movie. I mean, God bless Night at the Roxbury, but it didn't blow the doors off pop culture like Wayne's World did. Wayne's World was one of those movies that just hit at the right time, at the right
Surprise
stages.
hit. Yeah.
What's that?
Kind of a surprise hit movie.
Right. But it hit the right audience at the right time. And that for that reason, I'm putting Wayne's World on my skit, SNL skit, Mount Rushmore, because of the cultural impact that it made.
Sure, absolutely. Was there one of the Wayne's World skits that jumps out at you, or not really, in particular?
I like the one where they were talking about lyrics, where they were talking about the Nirvana song. They go, hey, wait. We can't sing the whole thing being on YouTube, but that song from Nirvana, and he thought it said "Hey Wayne," and they freaked out and stuff, and I enjoyed that. I enjoyed where they would do the lists of different things. Like I said, not the strongest skit, but it's on my list because of where it went to.
Yeah. The one when they actually had Aerosmith as the musical guest, and they made an appearance on Wayne's World. I thought that was pretty good. Aerosmith sitting in his breakfast nook.
Right.
They had the whole breakfast nook cam upstairs, zooming in on Aerosmith sitting up there, and then Tom Hanks was the host, I think, and he did like the sound check guy, syphilis or whatever he was saying, pretty good. Yeah, very good. Yeah, and not many of these. I mean, there's a few of these certainly, but the ones they could actually do repeat skits with the same characters,
right,
and it didn't get old. I mean, that's the sign. It's definitely one way to recognize a true hit. So Wayne's World was definitely one of those for sure. I love every holiday season. There's certain things I like to watch in my repeat holiday viewing, to get me in the holiday spirit. One thing I enjoy typically is watching the Saturday Night Live, Christmas special, which is clips of skits throughout the years that were holiday themed. One of my favorites of all time, it's a holiday themed skit, and it's one of my favorites anyway, is the Delicious Dish skit, the public radio.
You've knocked another one off my list.
Sweaty balls with great Alec Baldwin, Anna Gasteyer, and Molly Shannon. Just hilarious. You probably have seen it before, that they're very mild-mannered public radio hosts. He's talking about his Christmas cookies that are family name Sweaty Balls, and just the way they're describing them and talking about them. If you're listening
no
to
idea
it,
that they're being obscene,
right? Just hilarious.
And they have that NPR voice, but it also is a little sexy when you're talking about balls and what you're going to do to them.
Yeah. Yeah. Do what you want to them, ladies.
Right.
My balls are here for your pleasure.
Love it. And Alec Baldwin's great.
Yeah. Very, very good. One of my favorites.
All right. Last on my list, I'm going to go old school. Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood.
Yeah. Eddie Murphy.
It was, you take the premise of an iconic Mr. Rogers and put Eddie Murphy's spin on it, where he's Mr. Robinson instead of Mr. Rogers, and he's coming in from like the hood, where like you're hearing gunshots in the background and screams and stuff, and I think back then they were, they shot right out of the cannon the idea of like taking pop culture and turning it on its head. From Gumby to Mr. Rogers, the infomercial stuff that Dan Aykroyd was doing, they started that trend, and it only got bigger and better. But it starts with Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood. It propelled Eddie Murphy to the stratosphere, to being Hollywood royalty and an icon. So yeah, love that skit, and it was like almost the beginning of everything. So
Yeah. Yep, you're right. That was definitely a skit that was one of rising star Eddie Murphy's earlier featured skits for sure. Very funny in that. It was social commentary as well, a bit, right?
right,
So, but yeah, very funny. Also had a Christmas episode of the
that's
skit
right.
of the
That's
Eddie
right.
Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood as well. Yeah. Um, well, I also had Celebrity Jeopardy Dean. I want to swap that out. There's so many good ones here.
Oh, I had to swap a couple out too. Like you took my sweaty balls and Harry Carey, so I had to swap some things out.
You talking about skits?
Yeah.
I'm joking. I'm teasing.
Oh, sorry.
Nah, sorry. Let's see. I'm going to swap it out with Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer. I always enjoyed these here. I don't know if you remember those or
Absolutely.
not. The hilarious Phil Hartman, the tragic to lose him too soon. So funny, but go back and watch. They did a few of these as well here, but just a great premise. Caveman he's unfrozen from ice, becomes a lawyer, which makes, of course, zero sense. But he plays up the whole. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just a caveman. Your
What do
world
I know?
frightens and confuses me. I just saw a plane landing, and I thought, oh my gosh, what is this crazy thing? But one thing I do know is that my client is innocent. Whatever, he would just play it off, and then just he was a total douche, smug lawyer
Right.
playing up the whole caveman bit, whatever. But just so good. Go back and watch Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer. Check those out on YouTube. Phil Hartman did one of his best roles on the show, as far as I'm concerned. They were just hilarious.
Phil Hartman was
Ah,
fucking
so
so
good.
amazing.
Yeah,
Such tragic, so horrible. Just
yeah,
talking about some of the guys you missed. I mean, yeah, because you have some people out there that may have been gone too soon from drugs or even natural causes, but like the way he went out, it was just unfair. Being
yeah,
murdered like that, it was just awful.
yeah. But we still have his work. At least we can go back and enjoy and
Absolutely.
check out Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer. Any honorable mentions, Dean?
Uh, you know what? I do have one.
Go
Two.
ahead.
Debbie Downer.
Mm-hmm.
We'd mentioned in when people breaking, but that I love. I love all those skits, and then Star Wars Undercover Boss with Adam Driver.
That's funny. That was good.
Being a Star
Kylo
Wars
Ren.
fan, yeah, Kylo Ren doing the undercover boss thing on the Death Star, and people talking about how much of how horrible he is, a douche he is, and him getting all sad and stuff. It's just so great. Adam Driver's awesome.
That was funny. A good way to make fun of himself, and
Yeah,
it really played up the fact that Kylo Ren was kind of a whiny bitch in the movies, and it kind of took it to a whole other level. So he was able to make fun of himself, and yeah, that was good. Anything else?
That's actually because everything else I had to swap out and use. So, what do I do? Any honorable mentions?
A few rapid fire. Matt Foley living in a van down by the river. The great Chris Farley.
Absolutely.
The first one he did, I think it was David Spade, and I think it was Christina Applegate was on the show at the time.
Okay.
And he was breaking them, getting right in their face and yelling and hitching up his pants, and he fell and broke the table and everything, and they were just dying, laughing, and he was so funny.
Actually, let me shoot in a honorable mention if we're going to do that.
Go ahead.
The Chippendales with Patrick Swayze
good.
And Chris Farley fighting for the last Chippendale spot on the card, and they're both dressed as Chippendales with the shirtless and tight pants, and obviously Patrick Swayze has a body of a fucking Greek god, and Chris Farley looks like Chris Farley, and it's just so goddamn funny. Yeah, Chris Farley is physical comedy best.
Chris Farley and Will Ferrell were two that knew they didn't have the greatest body, and they would use it in their humor in just the
Absolutely.
greatest ways. Just not embarrassed.
Yep.
If it got a laugh, Will Ferrell, of course, did it on the damn 50th anniversary with the hitched up shorts and everything, and leaning up, kneeling up and kneeling,
Right.
and getting on guys' faces and everything. Yeah, that's just making it uncomfortable. So good. Yeah, that was a great one. I agree with you. The haunted elevator skit. This is David S. Pumpkins, Tom
Okay.
Hanks. Just a strange, weird,
It is very
bizarre
odd.
skit. That was the whole idea, I guess. Eddie Murphy did a great one. White Like Me. I don't know if you remember this or not, but
Oh yeah.
the premise was he dressed up like, and they actually did his makeup.
Oh
He
yeah. I
dressed him
remember that.
like a white man and went out in the public, and he's just describing his experience of being a white man. Just hilarious. His
Absolutely.
perspective. A guy like hands him a newspaper. He's like, pick up. He's like, what? You take it. You can take it. And then he's just like, I learned something that day. When white people are alone together, they give each other things for free. They honored this in the concert as well. Dick in a Box. So this is
sure.
on the concert on the Friday. Lady Gaga helped sing a duet of Dick in the Box. It's very good. Close Encounter. They also reprised this as a version of this on the Kate McKinnon. When people get abducted by aliens or something like that. So her and Meryl Streep reprised those roles.
So those skits, yeah, that's a good one. Those are so goddamn funny.
Kate McKinnon is hilarious. Just the whole description of.
That's another one where watching it, they did everybody held it together pretty good on the 50th, but all the other skits, go back and watch those.
Yeah,
that you got a lot of those actors breaking because of her.
Yeah, just grabbing them and doing all kinds of things they weren't really expecting and everything else. Yeah, very good. Spelling Bee. I saw this on TikTok even the other day. I had to go back and watch it again. This is Will Forte with a cameo by Jack Black and Tenacious D.
Yeah.
And Will Forte is playing a kid in a spelling bee, and Chris Parnell was always so good. He was such a great straight man in the skits as well. And he asked him to spell business, and he's like, "Can you use it as a sentence? Can you give me the definition?" Gives him all these things, and then he misspells it so terribly, ridiculously long. Just like he had a complete panic meltdown. Gets it completely wrong, and he was spelling the word
right.
I want to say for like 60 seconds on purpose. It was like way, way out there.
I don't recall that one. I have to go back and look at it.
Yeah, and then Chris Parnell's like wrong, and then Jack Black, Tenacious D sings a song about spelling bee. That it was a true story about Jack Black as a kid. I don't know if it's true or not, but it's just a very strange, bizarre skit. Go check that out.
Okay.
Goat Boy. I don't know if you remember Goat Boy or not. This was I can't think of his name all of a sudden here, but just the guy was half goat, and they brought him. It was a scientific experiment.
Yeah.
Jim Brewer, that's what it was. Jim Brewer,
of course, yes.
And they created him to host an MTV thing, which was funny, an MTV show, and he would just grunt like a goat every so often, and had the just ridiculous.
Other one is Mr. Peeps. Chris Kattan is Mr.
Peepers. Mr. Peepers.
Yeah, where he's like a little
monkey man.
Monkey. And then the one
the apple
was when they had The Rock be his like brother or cousin or whatever. So they had both of them.
That's right.
Standing up on the table doing the Mr. Peepers thing.
Yeah. Eating the apple and spitting it out at people. Yeah, that was funny. Beyonce Hot Ones. So this was Maya Rudolph playing Beyonce, which she's very funny at. But she was on the show. The skit is that she was appearing on the show Hot Ones with eating the very hot wings.
Yeah.
She's hilarious, but she plays just so good. But she's like trying to be the reserve Beyonce, eating these hot wings, and just starts to lose control. Just
Okay.
watch it later; you'll love it. And then finally, Colonel Angus. So the Southern Colonel Angus, and Colonel Angus is also played by the great Christopher Walken, and Chris Parnell was in the skit as well. So Southerners talking about Colonel Angus. So when they're talking in their Southern drawl, it's Colonel Angus, Colonel Angus, Colonel Angus, and they portray on that. Colonel Angus is he's an acquired taste. It just so many innuendos and jokes. Oh my God!
I kind of remember that actually.
Yeah, hilarious. I rewatched that even this evening, making a list here. I'm like, I don't know if I remember this or not. I'm like, oh yes, I remember this. I had to put it out there for honorable mention. So many more you could name.
Absolutely. For 50 years of it. I mean, geez.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, what makes a good skit? Why are these some of these there's different reasons, I'm sure, but
sure.
What makes a good skit in your opinion?
I think to me it's the dichotomy of the straight man and the goof. I think if you're going to find a lot of these skits that we've talked about, it is given you have the Chris Parnell, so to speak, and then you have the Will Ferrell, the goof, and the better, some of the better of the actors, comedians can play both in random skits, can play the best straight man or the goof. But I think that is what makes the best skits is the dichotomy of the two. And then I love, like I said, I love when actors break, but I wouldn't want to see it all the time. That it kind of makes it special when it's randomly. But yeah, I want to see the straight man and the goof. That comedy is the surprise. It's looking to the left and they go right.
Right.
It is, and I think Saturday Night Live has mastered that perfectly of the of that comedic style.
Yeah, no, that's good. You're right. When you have those skits where someone is just, you could see it just playing out, like they're just in the zone right now. They are in the
right.
They're in a comedy acting zone, whether it be the lines, the physical comedy, the combination of both. They're maybe not even fully aware, but there's just something completely working in that moment between their facial expressions, their physical comedy, their line delivery, and like you said, the people around them just play it perfectly with them, even rising to the occasion to be even, I don't even want to say even more straight or more serious or whatever their role is. So just, you see it just kind of happening.
It's almost
creating.
ballet.
You can see, you're right. You see they're creating. This is a memorable moment. You can see that they're in it, and you have to believe that as they're in the middle of it, they're like, they have to have like, this is really vibing right now, man. It's just, they just go with it.
Well,
you're right.
It's like if you have a ballet going on, and one of the and it's working out beautifully, and it's masterful moves, and everything was working as it should, and then you have one person do a move that nobody else was expecting, and that is the improv. When you're working on something, and you can tell by the other actors, even if it's just like a quick eye glance of like, oh shit, that wasn't supposed to be there, but it works. So everybody just kind of goes in that rhythm, from there.
That's good. It's just, You're right. It's just creating a moment. It's creating an experience and something where all these skits we talked about here, I could watch them. I don't know how many, like a favorite movie, and
Absolutely.
it just doesn't get old because there's something in there that makes me laugh and you could even pick up on different things the more that you watch it, somebody's reaction or something that somebody did that maybe you didn't quite get before, or you missed something in the background even. Yeah, it's just that moment they were able to create together, you know.
Absolutely.
All right, well, many great memories, many great skits. Yeah, you know what, Dean? One thing that you can do to create your own great memories, out on the trails, on the
Mm-hmm.
trails of life, trails around your hometown, whatever you want to do. If you want to get out there and explore, create some of your own new memories and favorite memories, get yourself an electric bike. Get yourself an electric bike from our friends at RPM Bike Shop. You can find them on Facebook, online, or simply just give them a call at 330-808-7792 and just tell them you want to create your own memories to live on for the next 50 years and beyond.
That's a long time.
It is a long time. Well, you
It's
don't
a
have to
long
pedal
time.
as much. You know what I mean? If
That's
you
true.
be an older person and get on the trail still, you need that electric bike. You know, give yourself a
Conserve
nice
your energy.
boost. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we
Well,
have done it. And so go
Brian,
ahead, please. Please.
what we need to do real quick is tell us what you learned.
Hmm.
And I take a pause there because I'm hoping we inject some music in there, but maybe some crickets. I don't know. But Brian, what have we learned today? I tell you, one of the things I learned today.
Go ahead.
We are all a little more sad when we are Nickless.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. What about you?
Yes. That is true. I learned a couple of things. One is that a possum can't eat a whole chocolate cake without getting a little bit sick.
I learned that I can. So
Yep. And that what qualities make up a good SNL skit, a memorable skit, a favorite skit. It can vary. It just
it
depends
does.
on the skit and whatever you define as what good is. I think the ones that we named here certainly had different qualities between just great comedic performance and straight person to people breaking during the skit, which made it even funnier.
Yep.
Just different qualities create a memorable and favorite skit on SNL. And certainly they've had many, many over the years that we've enjoyed, and I'm sure there'll be many more to come.
And finally, I learned that there is no better dog name than Cock.
That's right. That's right.
That's what I learned.
Sure. Well, in honor of Nick, we're going to wrap it up here. We'll do his job yet again here. So
That's right.
we again thank you for tuning in this week. Find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Find us on our YouTube channel. Find us on our Linktree page. Find us online, convincingidiots.wordpress.com. Come back to us every week. It's not like this show's this show's not unlike an SNL memorable skit where sometimes I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm going to have to edit this out.
No. You actually are correct. The show is a lot like a Saturday Night Live skit because either you have comedy gold or you realize, oh shit, this should have been left on the cutting room floor.
That's right. That's right. All right. Well, come back again next week. And have we convinced you that our bodies are better than Will Ferrell's?
No, probably not.
Hey, Hey, did you like that video? You know you did, and we know you did. So stop screwing around and go like that video, subscribe to our channel, and join us for some more.